welcoming the participants of Connection with Ancestors. Thank you so much for taking out time, trusting this space, and being here. Thank you so much, Kiran and Sneha. And thank you to everyone who is going to watch this, who is going to give themselves the space. And whatever we talk here, okay, we are all connected in a very collective energy. Whoever is watching it at whatever time, recording live, whatever we are talking is all for you. Take it very personally, take the lessons that are there for you, and we're all connected to this thread. You can always ping me for any query. I'm here. Okay, you can ping me in the group. Kiran, are you added to the group?
Which group? The WhatsApp group?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in the group.
Okay, great. So today we are going to begin with a reading. Hi, Mohit. So it's joined, right? Yeah. So we'll begin with a reading. And this is a reading, this is a guidance from our ancestors, okay, to each one of us, including me, every one of us. And let's see what message they have for all of us, okay? So I will be simply selecting a representative to say a number, okay? And this is the deck that I'm using. I'm just showing it. Okay, this is the deck that I'm using. All right. So Sneha, can you tell the first number that comes to your mind as a collective representative of the group of all the people who are going to see this? The first number.
6.
6. Okay. Yeah. So the message that we have from our ancestors is this. Okay. It's a one-word message. It says forgive. Okay. This is the name of the spiritual guide whose image you can see here. Okay. And the message that comes across is forgive. Now, there are a lot of questions on what does even forgiving mean, right? And how do we understand it? So I'm going to read a little about what is mentioned in this particular guidance, in this particular deck. Just give me a moment. I'll open up the meaning that is given here. And I'm going to ask each one of you about what do you think about forgiveness? Okay. Yeah. So the message here is, what do we mean by forgive? The message here is letting go of blame and punishment. And that happens by healing the past. That is the strong, strong message to the collective energy of this group right now in this moment, that we all need to let go of the blame and the punishment that we might be giving ourselves or people close to us. We don't know. And we need to do that by healing our past, healing the past patterns that are affecting us. Okay. And, there are people who feel so guilty after doing a mistake. They can end up feeling regret for an entire lifetime, actually. We don't realize how guilty we feel when we think we have done something wrong, and we keep avoiding the guilt. We don't forgive ourselves. Forgiving here essentially means letting go of blame and letting go of punishment. Okay, that's the meaning of forgiveness right now in this context. Okay. anybody who you think has hurt you in the past. Okay. It is a moment, it is a time right now to let go of the blame so that I can be free. Because to even blame someone, a lot of energy is required. Okay. A lot of energy is required. So you don't have to necessarily work or improve your relationship. That is a personal choice. Okay. That is a completely personal choice. However, from within, I can let go and I can set myself free from the energy that goes in, thinking bad or feeling victimized in any way. So I would like all of you to just close your eyes for a moment. And in this context that we have discussed right now, simply tell yourself mentally that I forgive myself, I forgive them, and I set us both free. And you breathe into this feeling. And get that sense of freedom that comes from forgiving yourself and forgiving them. Breathe into that sense of freedom and find a spot in your body where you would like to keep this sense of freedom, and maybe use one hand to locate and touch that part of your body and keep this feeling, this sense of freedom. I forgive myself, I forgive them, and I set us both free. And know that you can always access this feeling whenever you feel the need to punish, the need to feel regret. You go back to this part of your body and you breathe into this freedom and you forgive and you let go. All right. How does this feel? Can you, maybe you can, since we are less, you can just tell, maybe I'll start with Sneha. How does this feel, Sneha?
So today only I had a session with a client, and so the session went on for more than almost 4 hours. So at the end of the session, I told her that since this has been so long, I will make it two. But she refused to pay, saying that I wasn't told before. So I said it's up to you. And she didn't pay and I let it be. But then this thing is eating me up since the end of the session. Like I feel that yes, if I was at my client's place, if she wasn't told about this thing before, she is right on her part. But then I also feel that I am also right on my part because I have put in so much effort. I could have stopped the process in between, but then I still continued because I thought that was the right thing to do. Now, here, since this episode, I mean, from afternoon 2, it is eating me up. And actually, I really don't know what is triggering me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when you said forgiveness, I actually had this image in my mind. And this is the part that I am not willing to forgive because I need to process it first. Exactly what is triggering me. I mean, if she hasn't paid, it is fine. What can I do in that?
So
But
the cycle of either blaming myself
hmm,
because I did not stood up for my point of view, I could have still told her that, see, whatever it is, the session has gone for 4 hours and you will have to pay up for it. Otherwise, we will have to stop working together. Maybe that is why we blame ourselves for not standing up to our own opinions. And the other pole is where we start blaming the other for not understanding and not showing the same resonance or the same connection to this work, right? So that is a cycle that I will keep on dwindling, it's like a pendulum. And I will keep on either going to and fro, to and fro. We live in a polarized planet. Okay, I'm digressing a bit, but please hear me out. This is very, very relevant. Okay, because this is one example that Sneha has mentioned, but this happens in every case where I am not agreeing to someone else and someone else is not agreeing to me, right? And how do I process it and how do I not lose my centeredness and how can I keep on expanding no matter what, right? So we live in a polarized planet and everything, every thought will come in a polarized form. That is the nature of living here. Okay, that is the nature of living here. This planet has two poles, North Pole and South Pole, right? And they are both at extreme ends. And there's a magnetic pull, there's a center of gravity that keeps them together, right? So we are also finding our center of gravity. We are finding our middle ground. But if we go on walking from one pole to the other, then another to the one, we will get tired. This is why we become fatigued and tired, and we sometimes don't want to take sessions also. We don't want to meet people. We don't want to be social because we are so tired, right? We don't feel like connecting with anyone. And it's all because we are between these two poles. So, Sneha, it is a choice. Okay. And it is a choice where I need to tell myself that I will not keep on going between these two poles. I will choose my center. And I have only started my business. There will be so many clients, and I'm also becoming ready. So until I learn how to let go, how will I make space for new clients who will understand this? Right? So it's a choice, and you let it happen organically. Don't push yourself, but make that choice. Make that choice.
Very true. I mean, I was able to identify that, I am either on this end or this end.
Yeah.
So I was seeing things as black and white and I was addressing it like, it's okay, this is the first learning experience.
Yeah.
And it's good that it happened early, you know. But still, this is something eating me inside. Like, the kind of restlessness you feel, the
Yeah.
kind of, I mean, I feel like I'm cheated. And I can see my client's point of view as well that yes, even if she would have paid money, she would have felt cheated. It was not told to me before.
Mm.
So this is something I don't know how to process it exactly. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. And processing comes from feeling your feelings. Okay. The restlessness, the sadness, whatever feelings comes up, they are trying to make way. Once you feel your feelings, you will be able to just come out of it. Okay. So letting go, like I said in the, like the guidance says, actually, letting go actually comes from feeling your feelings. So you need to make a note of these feelings that are coming up. These are the feelings that you avoid to feel. And every client, everybody actually will keep on mirroring the feelings that I'm refusing to feel myself. So I will make a note of these feelings and I will make space. I will connect to that part of me and that will give me way. However, keeping that intention now is very important, that I choose to not just travel in the poles. I choose to find my middle ground and I'm going to ask the universe, I'm going to ask ancestors, what would it take for me to find my middle ground so that I don't have to keep on, dancing between the poles. Those poles are so far apart. If we keep on going from one pole to the other, we'll be tired and exhausted. And when will we live our potential, right? Even though the thought takes 1 second to come, but in that 1 second, you are traveling poles. Remember that. Okay. It's very important to remember that. Mentally, exhaustion works in a very different way from physically. Okay. So we need to have a very different approach when we look at our own internal programming. Okay. Be very kind. Be very kind.
Thank you. This makes sense.
Glad. I'm glad. Okay. I'll go to Kiran. How does it feel?
For me, I am angry with the concept of forgiveness only, if you ask me. I'm like so done. It's the pain.
No, so
No.
actually the context is, Kiran, letting go. Okay. It's not about don't focus on the word forgive. Okay. The idea is to let go of the blame on myself and on others. That is the idea that we are in right now. So tell me, how does it feel when you tell yourself that I forgive myself and I forgive them and I set us both free? How does this sentence even feel to you?
Angry.
Angry. So that is the emotion that you really need to make space for, Kiran. You refuse to give acknowledgement or maybe honor your anger. Do you hate your anger?
If you ask me, I was made to feel my anger, if I have to put it in the correct way. Because
What does that mean?
because since childhood, no, my family used to make fun of me that I'm this overthinker. Oh my god, you zone out a lot and all those things and everything. I didn't let it affect me for the longest time. And they do stuff which, like, I get angry faster. And my father used to tease me, Tere to naak pe upar gussa hai, look, you have a mole. And they laugh. But the most of the time, I used to join with them. I mean, like, at least because it was my father and I used to oblige and everything. But inside, I used to feel angry alone and everything. So the more they said, I used to stop. But a part of me used to feel that my anger is valid even as a child. I even vividly remember some incidents where I had discussions with my cousins, and they were teasing me. I used to tell them like, chal, like, you say whatever you are, but inside I used to tell myself that my anger is valid.
So maybe you love
But
it, not like maybe you don't hate your anger, you love it way too much.
I'll tell you one situation. Like, it really, like, still brings so much of pain.
Take your time.
So I was working as a doctor in India.
Mm-hmm.
I did a shift for 4 days. 4 days. And I did along doctors do overnight or on call overnight shift. Like my one weekend, it was like my shift started on Friday morning, and I came home on Monday evening. That was that busy.
Okay.
And then I had like a disagreement with my senior, and I told him that I didn't sleep collectively for 6 hours, and I'm in the same dirty clothes for 4 days. He was yelling for something because one patient did not get checked or something. I told, I'm not the only one here, or whatever. I cried in the intern room, and my friend consoled. And I came home. I told my mother, and my sisters were there. I told them, like, I'm in a very bad mood. Just don't even come near me. Just let me take shower and sit. Let me sit in my silence. Despite telling that, my sister kept on poking me like, oh Didi, why are you so uptight? Oh Didi. She kept on poking me. I warned her many times that please don't provoke me. I'm in a very bad mood. She provoked me so much that I slapped her. And everybody got angry that, oh no, you're so this angry person. And my sister started crying, and obviously went to my mother. See, Didi always hits me and everything. And I kept defending myself. Nobody's seeing me that I came after 4 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
nobody heard me. So since then, no, they just shame me. Oh my God, you are an angry person. It's the same happened in my marriage too. And when my in-laws were complaining to my father said, yeah, she's very angry person. Like, who's with you? I told my father, like, they're already putting that blame on me. They are the ones who are provoking me. And they just wanted confirmation from you. The least you can do is shut up. No. And my father got angry that, oh, you are this angry person again. I'm like so tired, but nobody sees their responsibility, like how they're provoking. I set the boundary to it. It's not that I did not set the boundary. I am not that person when somebody say, okay, when they say that I'm in a bad mood, why would I want to go disturb them? But why don't people see my perspective? Yeah,
I
that's where I feel my anger is valid, but nobody hears me out.
will pause you just for a bit. I'll pause you and you take your breath back. And I hear you. I really see where you're coming from. And what I would like to tell you in this moment, first thing I would like to tell you is, even though you're talking about anger, Kiran, what you're feeling right now is sadness. You feel sad, right? As you're talking about it, you're not feeling good. You're not feeling angry right now, actually. Doesn't seem like that. How do you feel right now when you are talking about your anger?
Yeah, sad.
Anything else?
Nothing such coming. No.
Are you comfortable in being sad in front of anyone in your, like, as a child also, were you comfortable in crying in front of anyone in your family?
My father never allowed to cry. In fact, in my therapy sessions, when I started crying, that's when actually, when I watched a movie, somebody told the other person that, it's all okay to cry. No, it is not encouraged.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question. Tell me your first thought. And Sneha and Mohit and everyone who is watching, kindly just hold space and know that we're all connected and we're all healing together, even though maybe we are talking with one person at a time. Okay. So, Kiran, please tell me, is there anyone in your family? Okay. Was there anyone in your family? You can think of your ancestors, okay, from both sides, who was known to cry a lot or being very sad and, all the time. Is there anyone or was there anyone? Tell me your first thought.
So I have an aunt, my dad's sister. It's not that she cried all the time, but I think from what when I was young, what I have observed, she was always here, like even after being married and having kids, she always used to stay with us, like, the joint family. She was my dad's sister. She
Is
was always sleeping.
she alive? I just wanted to know, is she alive right now?
Yeah. She's alive. Yeah. But that time, like, um, she always was sleeping, and now I know it could be postpartum depression and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, but
So that's one.
cry.
That's your aunt. What, who, anybody else about whom you have heard stories like that? Maybe you have not seen this person, but you've just heard stories. Anyone else?
No, both my parents vehemently hate crying. They consider that it is a very bad thing.
Okay.
They just don't talk about it or encourage
Right. Right.
everything.
And your grandparents?
No, I never saw them cry. Few times.
No. Okay. Okay. That's all. Maybe you can inquire about this a little bit. If there's anyone, if there has been anyone, okay, just maybe. And I'll come back to you again. Okay. So I've noted something. We'll do a little process. I'll come back to you. Okay. And I'll ask Mohit, how does this feel, Mohit?
The forgiveness thing which we did.
The affirmation we said, how does that feel to you?
So because I am actually practicing forgiveness very rigorously from last 4 5 months, from past 5 6 months, I am doing some forgiveness things. I give dedicated time every day to forgiveness rituals. So I have already been able to release a lot many things from my life, and I feel very good now. I feel very good.
Okay. Great. So we are going to do a very small. Okay, so Mohit, I have one question for you. And so for Kiran, we have identified something, and I'm going to just ask one question to you and Sneha also. So Mohit, tell me one emotion that you don't allow yourself to feel.
Weak.
Weak. Okay, so what emotion comes up when you are weak?
Needy, that I am needy. I need, when I feel that I need people, I need people's help, which means I'm weak. So neediness is the emotion which I don't allow myself to feel.
So you don't allow yourself to even ask for help if you want to ask for
Ha
something.
ha ha. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. And for Sneha, tell me one emotion that you don't allow yourself to feel, that you just are unable to feel, maybe.
Yes, I'm unable to feel grief. I mean,
Sorry?
grief.
Grief.
I can process sadness, but then, I mean, it has layers, right? So I can process it to an extent, but sometimes that sadness becomes unbearable, and then I feel like, how can I process this? I mean, I have become numb then.
Yeah,
I don't feel anything at that point.
got it. So before we get into any process, I want to share something with all of you. Okay. These emotions, why am I asking these emotions? The emotions that we don't allow ourselves to feel, they end up becoming blocks, and they don't allow us to let go of the guilt or the shame or the fear that we are constantly kind of dealing with. Okay. Once we are able to feel these emotions, we automatically will find space to make expansive choices. And it is a consequence of feeling your feelings. So it is very important as a human being to understand what are the emotions that I feel and what are the emotions that I'm unable to feel. For Kiran, like Kiran said, that I was not allowed to feel sadness. And that is a very deep conditioning, right? That I have grown up with. So now I need to find a way to feel those feelings so that I will be able to let go. Okay, Kiran. So maybe you not being able to let go is not about anger. Maybe it is about feeling your sadness, and maybe that will help you also with your anger. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me, Mohit.
Yeah, so I think I found the right word in not neediness, but becoming vulnerable.
Yeah.
Vulnerable is the right word.
Vulnerable.
Means is vulnerable an emotion?
So vulnerability is a state. Okay.
How do I come to an emotion then?
That works. Vulnerability works. For the process that we are doing right now, it works. Because when I'm vulnerable, I will automatically feel whatever I have to feel.
Yeah, so I don't allow myself to become vulnerable in front of
I'm vulnerable. Yeah. And it is, when you talk about neediness or weakness, it again comes somewhere to that sad state, right? Close to sadness, not necessarily sadness, but close to, maybe you wanting to ask for help doesn't feel right. Maybe it can make you sad and you don't want to do that. Okay. So let that come up for you. Let's not assume anything. Okay. So this will work. The fact that you know that I'm unable to, like, I'm not being vulnerable, that works. Okay. So what we are going to do is just sit comfortably and close your eyes. And whatever you said right now, your ancestors have been listening. Okay. They have been listening what you are going through. And they have been listening what you need and what you are struggling with. Okay. So visualize a safe space in your mind. It can be any room, it can be an outdoor spot, a place that you have been in the past that you really feel comfortable in. And find a spot in that safe space where you can sit and breathe into the energy of this safety. See what time of the day is it. If there is a window, see if it's sunlight or is it evening. Get a sense of the place and breathe into it. And breathe into your body, into that part of your body where you have stored these emotions, where you have stored these sensations. So for Kiran, breathe into that part where you have stored sadness and trust your first instinct. Don't analyze, just start breathing. For Sneha, you start breathing into that part which is numb of grief, that wants to feel grief, that has stored the grief. And for Mohit, you breathe into that part of you that wants to be vulnerable, but is not being able to be vulnerable. Okay? So you breathe into this feeling, breathe into this space, and allow one or more of your ancestors to walk into this safe space. Trust your first visual. Whoever walks in, trust. And this is the ancestor who is going to help you in feeling what you want to feel. It can be one, it can be more than one. It is okay if you don't identify, just get a sense of the presence. And just nod your head when you can see your ancestor so that I can know. Okay. Yeah. So look into their eyes, okay? Look into their eyes. And you tell them, thank you for coming. I am unable to feel this feeling. Tell them about what you are unable to feel. And in that very spot, okay, find that spot in your body where you would now receive the energy from your ancestor that will allow you to feel this feeling. Okay. Breathe into this energy that you are receiving from your ancestor. See them giving you the resource to feel this feeling, to process this feeling. And whatever resource comes, okay? Just take in. Don't interpret right now. It can come in the form of energy, object, anything. It can be anything. Just receive that resource, breathe into it, and find a space in your body to keep it. when you feel that you have taken the resource from them, you can ask them, am I allowed now to feel this feeling? Kiran, you can ask, do I have permission to feel sadness? Sneha, you can ask, do I have permission to feel my grief? To feel this grief? And Mohit, you can ask, do I have your permission to be vulnerable? And see what they have to tell you. What are they saying? Breathe into this new allowance that you are bringing in your life. Affirm this new intention of feeling your feelings to expand yourself. And simply bow in front of your ancestors, receive, and then you can slowly let them go. And once they are gone, you slowly breathe into your body and come back to the here and now. Please raise hand who would like to share your experience. Yeah, Sneha. Who did you like? Could you identify anyone?
Yes, I saw my dadi, my dadaji, and my eldest bua who suffered a very heavy fate.
Okay.
So it somehow, when I asked this question, the answer came up like that this grief does not belong to me, it belongs to all three of them. And especially it belongs to my dadi and dada who lost their daughter when she was very young. And they actually shunned it down. So I felt that this grief actually belongs to them.
Okay. So I'll pause you here. So you saw your dadi, which is your paternal grandmother, paternal grandfather, and your aunt, which is your father's sister, right? And tell me, in which part of your body did you feel this grief?
So I felt it somewhere here on
Head.
my forehead, not
Yeah,
exactly the center,
right.
somewhere towards the left side, and on the right side, the ear part. And interestingly, this exact part is where that forgiveness was also stored.
Okay. Okay. So this is the body part, right? And when you asked them that, am I allowed to feel? They said that it belongs to them, right? Okay. So even though it belongs to them, okay, you don't have to take it from them, okay? You can release it. Even after that, Sneha, we carry parts in our body that require healing and processing. And if I allow myself to grieve, even though it is not my story, we still become carriers of grief in our family, right? Maybe nobody before me grieved for them. Maybe they also did not get the space to grieve. So somebody in the family will grieve, right? That is how we are connected. So even though it's not like it is my grief, I just need their permission to feel this grief. Because if I don't feel this grief, I will become just like them, right? Somebody has to feel it. I realized this in my journey that I was feeling grief of so many of my ancestors. None of that belonged to me. But I still gave way to feel those feelings because As a carrier of that grief, that is what I need to take responsibility for. I cannot intellectualize my feelings. I cannot tell that this doesn't belong to me, so I will not feel it. Okay. So there's a very thin line to understand this. Even though it doesn't belong to me, I need to acknowledge I am a carrier of it and I will have to feel my feelings. My feelings are still mine. And I will do that knowing that I am a carrier. This is not mine. And once this is cleared out, I will have space for whatever I need in life. Make sense?
Yes.
So the permission is to process the feeling. The permission is not to make it your own. Don't make it your own. Don't make grief your life. That is not you, Sneha. But you still will have to process it. Okay. So maybe next time when you ask, maybe after the session, sometime you can ask this, okay, to them. And even though you can tell them, even though it doesn't belong to me, whatever feelings I have, do I have your permission to process it? Right? Because if we intellectualize, we end up not processing. Okay? Makes sense? So breathe into that part of your body and allow yourself to feel that grief. Acknowledge your role as the carrier of that, even though it is not your personal story.
So in this case, if I get their permission, how do I actually process it? I mean, do
You
I
will
have to
get the how.
physically release it?
You will get the how. I will not tell you the how because you will get it yourself. You will know, it will start happening. Once you allow yourself, once you feel that, okay, I'm safe to feel it, your body knows the how, it will come up. Okay. It's a consequence, it will come.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Coming to who wants to go next? Kiran, you want to go next? Mohit, you want to go next? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Mohit, now you. How?
So,
Yeah.
so I have seen my grandfather. I've
Mhm.
also so yeah, the first person who I saw was my grandfather. Then I saw my grandmother also, but because you told me to hold to the first thought, so then I hold it on to my grandfather only.
Okay.
Yeah, and although I was not able to think that how to find out a body part, uh, uh, where I want to feel this, where I want to feel this feeling. So I was not able to find out the body part, analyze the body part. But then जब मैंने बहुत ज्यादा सोचा तो मुझे लगा कि शायद in this hand, maybe in
Hand.
this hand. And again, just like Sneha, this is the same place जहाँ मुझे forgiveness भी वो feel हुआ था, I think. So yeah, and then and
So when you asked that, do I have your permission to,
he said yes, लेकिन मैं comfortable नहीं हूँ अभी, consciously comfortable नहीं हूँ.
are you willing to receive the permission? Now that is something that you have to be willing for. Now you have their permission. Somebody from your family has given you permission. Your
I
body.
yeah Yeah, so yes, I have took the permission, but I'm still not ready to be vulnerable in front of people, because when we become vulnerable in front of people, people might take due advantage of your vulnerability.
Okay, so maybe it is not about people, Mohit. It is not about anybody else. Imagine there is nobody else in the world apart from you, and you are still struggling from this. Okay. Imagine there is nobody else, but you are still struggling from being vulnerable. Now, in that case, imagine you are in a closed room, okay, where nobody is watching you. Even then, are you being able to be vulnerable? Are you very comfortable being vulnerable and just feeling what you want to feel?
So yeah, I I think in a closed room we all are okay. So we in a closed room we all are soul naked with our own self. So I am vulnerable with my own self. I am vulnerable in front of a mirror, and that's fine.
Okay. So you, okay, so my So okay, so I have one thing that I want to tell you. Okay. Find spaces where you feel comfortable to be vulnerable. Begin with that. And now that you have met your grandfather, whatever resource you have taken, it will integrate and it will automatically work the way it has to work. Just don't analyze. Just feel that moment of connection with your grandfather, looking at him into his eyes, telling him your problem and receiving his help. Just connect. Be vulnerable in front of your grandfather to begin with. He showed up in your visual, right? So at least you can be vulnerable in front of that ancestor who showed up to help you. So only think about that connection, and whatever has to happen will happen for you. Don't worry about how will come to you. Like I told Sneha, don't worry how will it happen, how will I be vulnerable, I'm not comfortable. Don't think about that. Just imagine the beauty of connecting with your grandfather today. It happened out of nowhere. So connect with him. Maybe write about him. Maybe think about him. He showed up to help you, so receive his help without any logic. Okay.
Yeah, and what do I do in front of people, in front of my people around me, when there is a moment to be vulnerable, but then I am fearful being being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in that moment, I need to be vulnerable. I want to be, but somewhere I fear of being taken advantage of. What do I do in that moment?
So this is not a shortcut that we are dealing with, Mohit. We are dealing with changing long standing deep conditional patterns, right? So that moment, whatever you have to do will show up as a consequence of your connection to your ancestors, your connection to yourself. You will know how to deal with it. Your way will come to you, okay? But there is no shortcut that I can give you here, because each person is unique. What works for me might not work for you. However, I can help you connect with your own ancestral line in a way that helps you, and maybe in your visuals, in your dreams, in your thoughts, they will tell you what will help you. So I am helping you in becoming open to receive from them. But how will it happen is something that you will come back and tell me that, we did that and this happened. Make sense?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Coming to Kiran. Who did you see, Kiran?
So I saw my grandfather, my father's father,
Right.
and I also saw my father too.
Okay.
And when you asked, like, do I have the permission? Frankly, I heard a no.
From?
I heard a no, then I kept analyzing in my head, like, कि ये मुझसे नो आ रहा है या उनसे आ रहा है, and then so I lost track there. I was like, then I stopped myself that okay, I'm overthinking now and zoning out.
Okay. And which part of the
And
body?
head here, like this one, this side. Yeah, the temple, and
Right.
this area.
Okay. So, can you just close your eyes for a minute, Kiran?
Mm.
And in your mind's eye, invite an ancestor who will give you permission to cry, and see who shows up. You might know this ancestor, you might not recognize. Just tell me what you see. And trust your first thought, Kiran. Don't analyze.
The first person who came to my mind was my uncle, like
Uncle.
my dad's brother, younger brother.
Okay.
Because growing up, I felt he was more warm and loving.
Okay, so don't tell
What?
me now. Be in that state for a minute. Close your eyes and look at this uncle.
Hmm.
Okay, look at this uncle. And tell him, thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
And thank you
And thank you
for allowing me
for allowing me
to feel my sadness.
to feel my sadness.
Whenever you feel sad, Kiran, whenever you feel sad and you don't feel comfortable, remind yourself that there is this uncle who understands you, who knows that this is important for you. And even if your mom and dad, they don't understand, even if your in-laws could not understand, there is someone who understands, and you feel their support with you, and you find safety to cry. You don't have to constantly remind yourself of the people who don't allow you to cry. You can remind yourself of these people who understand you. Okay? Okay.
Hmm.
This uncle is going to be somebody whom you will remember at any time that you want to cry. Crying is not a wrongness of you. It has to be processed so that you can feel that space to make your own choices. Okay. So remind yourself of this uncle again and again. Whenever you feel you are not being able to cry, remind yourself that my uncle told me I can cry and he understands me. And Sneha and Mohit, Sneha, remind yourself that my dadi, my dada, my bua, they understand my grief, even if nobody around me understands. So I will allow myself to grieve. And the same goes with Mohit, that my grandfather understands when I say that I want to be vulnerable. So I will allow myself to be vulnerable. Even if nobody else understands, my grandfather understands that this is important for me. So you feel the support of your ancestor who has showed up today in order to help you. It is up to you to choose to receive from them. If you constantly get stuck in the drama of the head, you will not be able to get in touch with that connection, that feeling that will help you actually change this mechanism. Okay. So this is where I would like to end today's session. Okay. And before you sleep today, just remind yourself of this ancestor who showed up and just breathe into receiving energy and sleep. Receive, and receive in your body, not in your brain. Okay. Make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Anybody wants to say anything, or should we end? Like maybe you can share one takeaway. Everybody, one small takeaway, and then we'll end it. Okay. Yeah. Go. Anybody go first. It's okay. Yeah.
I had a release like when I was sharing like that moment. Oh, it felt like
Yeah.
something like a huge brick was being taken away from a part of my face, like my head.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So glad. Yeah. Sneha.
I guess processing of feelings is very important. I mean,
Yeah.
even if it doesn't make sense at that moment, and we, try to rationalize it that by being in that moment itself, that what was right, what was wrong. But if we just address what we are feeling,
Yeah.
I think we will be sorted. So I haven't found my answer yet, but yes, the kind of stress I was going through for the entire day, keep on, and my mind was, continuously in this mode. how to find the solution, and this was creating further stress. So I feel relieved now that whatever it will be taken as a lesson. So that's what I'm feeling right now.
Okay, amazing. Thank you for sharing, Sneha. And Mohit, your takeaway?
हम्म, कुछ ऐसा बहुत क्लियर नहीं है.
कोई बात नहीं. Even if it's not clear.
So yes, so the takeaway for me is, चाहे वो forgiveness थी, चाहे वो vulnerability को accept करना था, don't think from your logical mind. पहले takeaway यही है कि don't think from your logical mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop using your logical mind and connect with your intuition, your inner self, So that's the takeaway for me.
And do imagine your grandfather. Whenever you are struggling with vulnerability, imagine your grandfather and don't ask anything. Just imagine him and feel his support. That's it. Okay. And see how it works.
Yes, yes, it is actually a good visualization which will give me support. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Because he showed up by himself, right? So it has to mean something for you. So just visualize him whenever you want to be vulnerable or struggling with it in any way. Visualize him, breathe with him, and maybe you will find a way through a thought, through a action. It can be anything. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your presence and time. And we'll connect again soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful exercise.
Most welcome. Take care, all of you. Bye.
Yeah, you too. Bye.